Good afternoon and welcome back to the Return Homestead. Marty and I have been busy all day, but before we can call it an evening, we've got to do something about the potatoes. So we've got to do something about the potatoes. We showed you guys some of the insects that were on the potatoes. We talked about them being Japanese beetles. We've done a little research and we've got some new information about what we're dealing with. Let's have a look and we'll show you what we're doing to try to correct the problem.
Let's see if I can find one that actually looks like a beetle.
Over. Seriously, all over. Look over here on this bottom ones.
So initially we thought these little brown bugs were Japanese beetles, which we do have a problem with in this part of Kentucky. But we thought they were a little bit aggressive here on the potatoes, and we couldn't figure out why. So we did a little additional research. Turns out these are the #1 destroyer of potato plants. This is actually a Colorado potato beetle. This one's relatively large. That looks like one that we definitely need to get off. Marty's just picking them off right now. These things are all over the potato plants, and they specialize in eating nightshades like potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, anything in that family. You see this little guy is just munching away, going to town on that potato leaf. Now, our research did tell us that you can treat these with diatomaceous earth when they are first and second instar. That's usually pretty effective for controlling them. The larger beetles, when they finally get their full carapace on them, and they look like this, these guys aren't really affected very much by the diatomaceous earth, so that hasn't been very effective. The neem oil can be moderately effective. It hasn't helped us out a whole lot. And the BT is supposed to do a great job of killing off the younger potato beetles, the larvae, but things have gotten a little out of control here in our potato patch before we figured out what we were dealing with.
This wasn't common in Nevada.
No, in Nevada, we never saw these guys. So this is all new to us. We have figured out that one of the most effective ways for treating is simply to remove the beetles, drop them into some soapy water where they die, and hopefully we can cut down on the population enough.
Eating on them. I found a good reason for a wasp.
We finally found a good reason to have wasps around. So this wasp has decided that they make good food. The chickens don't like the beetles. We've tried feeding them to the chickens. They won't eat them. But you can see these potato plants here on the end are almost sacrificial with the damage that they've taken from these beetles. So I'm going to slip some gloves on here, get busy helping Marty pick some of these little guys off.
Yes. Just saying. As long as I got gloves on, I don't care.
Yeah, you need the gloves on. These guys, you may not be able to see it on camera, but they are pretty slimy. They're more like worms when they first hatch out. And so they do have a substance on them that is a skin irritant. So you'll want to put on at least some rubber gloves, kind of protect your fingers while you're picking these guys off. And of course, if you can't get them off or can't get to them, to pull them off and put them in the soapy water, you can just squish them.
Gross, but it works.
It does work. And it's taken us about a half hour, 45 minutes now to run around the potato patch and just pick off all of these little rascals that we can see and drop them into the soapy water. You can see the damage they've been doing to the potatoes. Some of these plants are probably not going to recover, at least the ones at the outside edge of the bed. I would say at this point that's probably also a good reason not to grow your potatoes as tightly as we did. We've allowed the infestation to spread throughout the entire bed because the plants are all touching one another. There was no way to intercept them or cut them off and keep them off any portion of the crop. These plants on the end are smaller because they're a different variety. But these little guys are just everywhere on both varieties of plants. One of our plans for the guineas is we were hoping the guineas would help us to keep messes like this cleaned up. We did have to give the guineas a new home, so they haven't been here to help us out. Not sure they would have eaten these bugs. The chickens don't like them at all. We throw them into the chickens and they just look at them and walk away.
I don't like them either.
Yeah, I'm not real fond of these things, huh?
No.
Still got a few adults I can see out here in the middle of the bed.
I can see a bunch of them in there.
Another good reason not to grow your potatoes this tight. I'm gonna have to find some way to walk up in here and see if I can't get those guys cleaned out of there. And this may not seem like the most pleasant task, going around and picking these slimy worm beetle things off of your potato plants, but this is homesteading life. If you want your potato crop to survive, if you want to get potatoes at the end of the season, you got to make sure the plants stay alive.
Good food is dirty.
Good food is always dirty, just like a good farmer. If you've got a garden and you're not getting dirty in it, you're doing something wrong. So yes, a very unpleasant chore, but you end up with a good bit of satisfaction. All these potato beetles that we have here in this jug are now dead or dying, and hopefully we can save the rest of the potato plants. We've got probably another month and a half before we can start harvesting potatoes, so we want to keep them as healthy as we can, as long as we can. We do appreciate you joining us here on the Return Homestead today. Please subscribe to the channel so you can keep up with what's going on here in the garden. Hit that like button while you have the window open. We'll see you next time.